All right, guys. Hello again, and this is Sanjar, and just we're going over the Docker Compose at this time. So, what we're going to focus on today is basically the idea of why Docker Compose for AI workloads. Docker Compose makes running multiple multi-container AI environments simple and efficient. With just one YAML file, you can define AI models that you're trying to run, vector databases, monitoring tools. So you can see this is the example of the Docker Compose file. So here's my app, as I mentioned before. So let's go to my Docker Compose, right? So we're going to take an example of my Docker Compose. So in my Docker Compose, you can see this is my app right here, right? So this is my API. And then the next thing is where it says here, so it gives the example of database, right? So image Chroma. So in my case is, for example, I have Ollama. This is the project 3 that we're going to come back, and I'm going to make a video about that as well. We have Ollama, which serves our AI models, and then we have Chroma database, vector database, and it's right here. So you can see that it's pretty similar to what the Kubernetes does, but it's much more simple. It's really quick to set it up. White matters. No need for complex infrastructure management. Everything runs with just Docker Compose up. So the thing is, the whole idea here is that you take it, you quickly build it, and you just tear it down whenever you want it. So for example, if I need to make changes, guys, I've been just tearing it down and bring it up really quick. This is the Compose. This is what it looks like when you deploy it with a Compose. If you're deploying the regular, if you guys remember, it's just a single standalone container like here, right? Like this one here. This one is actually just standalone container running by itself, and this is actually Compose, and it consists of multiple things here, right? So we can see that. And so if we go down more, let's see the another benefits. So perfect for rapid prototyping. When working with AI projects, speed matters. Compose allows you to spin up multiple services instantly, test LLMs, APIs, and databases together, rebuild and reset your environment really quick. So the idea here is, again, to try to move quick, right? Not to over engineer. And guys, this is rule number 2. Please don't over engineer. Over engineering is really like a problem. What happens is, a lot of times we're working on something and we try to go down the rabbit hole, and we're stuck in there because we're trying to make something really perfect. You know what? It just gets chaotic. So the best thing I've been trying to do is, like you can see, I separated my projects into separate folders. The best thing to do is just use like a Docker Compose, use separate folders for each of your apps, and then just keep moving. So each of these is actually AI agent, very simple AI agents, and I've been sharing, guys, with you, and it's very easy to set them up. And so this is this is how fast I've been moving. Using the Docker Compose is just much easier. Example use cases: testing new embeddings in Chroma. So for example, you need to test some functions of the Chroma. So you need to test something in Ollama. You need to test Ollama and Nginx. This is where the Docker Compose comes handy. You can just spin it up and use it locally. Switching between models like Mistral, Ollama, and then integrating RAG pipelines rapidly. In AI labs, time to iteration is everything, and Docker Compose delivers that. So again, in AI work and workloads in general, time to iteration is everything, and Docker Compose is really quick to help us do that. So lightweight alternative to Kubernetes. Kubernetes is powerful, but heavy for small AI projects. It's really true. Docker Compose gives 80% of the functionality with 20% of the complexity. Perfect for students, startups, prototype labs for scaling. This is the best, beautiful part. So when you're working with the AI models, as I've been, showing, and some of you probably like have a setup. You might be like, hey, look, I have already like a it's cluster locally set up. Well, very nice. You just use that. But like for the rest of us who are like really starting in this space, we want to start very simple. We want to start, make sure that we want to take one step at a time. We want to make sure that we understand, and we want to make sure that we don't spend hours and hours trying to deploy something that's that takes like just the minutes to deploy. And this is where the Docker Compose comes in handy. So for all of my development work, I've been using Docker Compose. Maybe I will set up. Actually, I have a plans to set up another K8s cluster, but just so I can make my videos. But my whole development from months and months to do even like a really crazy pneumonia detection AI agent's been on Docker Compose. So let's look at this table really quick. features. So setup time, there's 5 basically areas that we're going to compare Kubernetes and Docker Compose. The first is the setup time, complex to 2 minutes. It's actually really true. I've been like moving really quick with the Docker Compose rather than Kubernetes. Kubernetes gets just, very hairy, but it's really like it's ideal for the production and like an organizational level. But like for the really quick demos and stuff, Docker Compose is your friend. Resource usage, Kubernetes usually uses higher resources, memory, CPU, and the rest of the the resources, but Docker Compose uses low. Setup time, by the way, complex means Kubernetes uses a lot of YAML files, and so you have to set up all these like different pieces of the K8s, while Docker Compose is really quick, just one YAML file and just you're done. Best for production clusters. In K8, it's basically production cluster. You don't want to bring Docker Compose ideally to the production, although I know that some companies might do that, but like you want to stick to K8 when it comes to the production. But for the local and small scale AI workloads, Docker Compose is the best thing. Learning curve steep. The Kubernetes takes quite a while to learn and kind of to sharpen it, while Docker Compose is much more easy. It's really quick, and I'll walk you through that. YAML config, Kubernetes uses large, Docker Compose is minimal. Like I mentioned, it's very minimal. So you can see the pros and cons of this, and the whole idea is to use both. But when it comes to choosing, for example, what do I do with my local AI development? Like if I'm trying to create like an AI agent, use Docker Compose. I'm trying to put this AI agent into the production in my company, use the Kubernetes. I'm trying to test this little feature on Chroma and try to make sure that this Chroma feature in vector database works fine. Use Docker Compose. I'm trying to deploy this now into my production. Used Kubernetes. So you got the whole idea, basically the differences. We will come back to the part 2 of this Docker Compose video, but thank you for watching. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you later.